Hello. This video has been inspired by this blog post by Charlie Hone, posted on the blog of Tim Ferriss way back in 2012. I put links to the blog posts and relevant articles, etc. in the description below. Let's get started. This Yuletide season, my lovely girlfriend bought me a present. A guitar. Which couldn't have come any sooner. I needed some music in my life. Music itself, however, is shrouded in mystery, kept at bay behind a veil of complicatedness. Too often have I heard people say, I could never learn to play the guitar, or I just don't have any musical talent. And to those people who don't think themselves capable of making this complicated contraption of metal, wood, and string make a beautiful sound, this video is for you. I'd like to introduce you to Vilfredo Pareto. I'm probably butchering the name, but it's okay, he's dead. Vilfredo Pareto, a French-Italian polymath from the 1800s. This will seem like a bit of a tangent, but he noticed something interesting about Italian housing markets. He noticed that 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the land owners. But that same 80-20 ratio happens in many facets of life. In marketing, you notice that 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clientele. In your own finances, 20% of your bills, your housing, your groceries, etc. take up 80% of your budget. It can get confusing, but it doesn't just apply to economics. I do encourage you to look further into this principle and its history. Links in the description, but essentially what this means for us is that we don't have to understand or practice 100% of the guitar to play the guitar well. You can get 80% of the results from 20% of the skills. Now, those 20% of skills will vary depending on who you ask. And granted, I'm just someone who's just now starting to learn the guitar, so take my advice with a grain of salt. Tell you what, salt all of the advice coming your way, but the thing that I've found to be most helpful is to start with a song that excites you. Something that really gets you fired up and that you would love to learn to play. That excitement will motivate you through the hurdles that you are bound to encounter in any new skill. Now, if you're struggling to choose a song, might I suggest one of the songs referenced in the Axis of Awesome's 4-chord song. If you haven't heard it before, the band plays just around about 40 pop songs using the same 4 chords. G, D, E minor, C. It does help to choose a song that you know. Since you know how the song is supposed to sound, you'll know if you're doing it right. Barriers like the physical pain of building calluses on your fingers and the emotional pain of not being good for a long time are real. But rest assured, things will get easier, you will get better, I promise. Just keep practicing. Once you've chosen a song that gets you all jazzed up inside, it's time to find the chords, and you can do this by using the almighty tool Google. Just Google the song name plus the word chords or tabs. You'll probably come across something like this. Above the lyrics, which you probably already know, are the names of the chords being played. Now, songs are usually played in chord progressions. You'll have heard this in songs already, noticing that a chorus sounds a bit different than a verse, etc. Your job as the learner of the song is to learn the chord progression and be able to replicate it. You'll learn how to play these chords individually and in order. Some websites will show you a diagram like this. In order to orient yourself, it's important to note that the big E is the biggest string. And there are always going to be 6 strings on a diagram. So in this image, the very top and bottom of the box are strings. Then there are the numbered dots relating to your numbered fingers. Other websites have this. Really quickly, the 6 spots represent the 6 strings on a guitar from lowest to highest. In both diagrams, X's mean you do not play that string when you're strumming the chord. Zeros mean that that string should be played but not pressed down with your other fingers. And any other numbers on this diagram means that you should press the string down just behind that numbered fret. For reference, this is fret number 1. Go through the song you want to learn, decoding the chords. Anytime you come to a new chord, make sure you can play it loud and clear. When it doesn't sound clear, and it will sometimes. Double check that you're pressing the strings down all the way. Make sure that your fingers are only touching the strings that they are intended to be touching, not accidentally rubbing up against another string. And also make sure that your fingers are sitting just behind the intended fret, not in the middle or on the backside. Practice moving from one chord to the next chord in the chord progression until you can play the song. An added layer of complexity would be to practice the song with a metronome or some kind of timekeeper, maybe even a drum machine. One thing I like to do is start practicing a new song just on the tail end of understanding the first song. That's because it starts a cycle and gives me something else to learn. And that's all there is to it, really. The rest is just practice and wanting to learn more complicated things. Harder songs, more complicated guitar riffs. Obviously there are more skills to learn, but the point of this video isn't to give you a comprehensive guide to all of guitar. There are other, more experienced guitar players out there who've been practicing for more than a week. This video is just to get you started, to get you hooked. This video is for people who think that they can't play the guitar because of some innate inability. It's just not true. You can do anything you set your mind to. And sometimes it might take much less time than you expected. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this kind of video in the description, and I will see you in 2 weeks.
Child, crawling on your knees.